that's one of the greatest things about college football to me in the fall is what it brings people back to.
I'm Adam Breneman.
This is
Next up. Wild. Next up. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Next Up by Mercury podcast. I'm Adam Breneman. We're at the University of Kansas, going to talk to Lance Leipold, head coach at Kansas, about all things 2022 season, his hot start. His name's all over the country as one of the best coaches in America. Let's go talk to him.
I appreciate you doing it. I don't know about that. We're just trying to take it a day at a time. I know it's cliche, but really proud of our team and our staff for how we've gotten started this year. These guys have been through quite a bit here, and for us to get off to this start, kind of pick off a little bit from where we were last year is exciting to see, but a lot of football to be played.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are calling it one of the most surprising starts in college football. I'm sure it's not surprising to you, and you've won really everywhere you've been, but this one has to feel good to be 3-0 right now.
Yeah, this start does feel good because when you start looking at just and sometimes you don't even know until you get here about some of the things that have maybe happened over the past decade, and then in the short term, some of our players have had up to 8 position coaches, and 3 head coaches, and just the desire for some stability and consistency, and then to see some of that work pay off. The guys have really bought in really from the time we got here, and to see it starting to get some early dividends is neat for their sake and our fan base. Really.
Yeah. How do you keep a place that hasn't won in a long time? How do you keep them from, when you go 3-0 and everyone's talking about you, from getting complacent?
Well, I think it goes back to a little bit of last year when we were struggling, and as we're going through things and really maybe some of the small details and things that we were talking about, we let them know is that these are going to be the same things we're going to talk about when we win games too.
Yeah.
And this is what needs to be done and how it's going to be done. And we're going to coach each and every day to get better, not just what the scoreboard says. And we're going to coach the game with the same intensity, if we're up 3 touchdowns or down 3 touchdowns. And I think we've tried and really have shown that kind of consistency with our players that allow them to kind of, accept and move on, because as much as there could be on the outside, now once they leave the building and those things, and obviously the social media world and things like that, there's a lot out there. Yeah. But when they're in here, I've been very pleased with our focus and where we're going. And it's definitely the better problem to have than where it's been in the past.
Did you feel like when you got here, what was it, a year and a half ago, 2 years now, that you kind of had to convince them that they were good at football again, or that they could be good? Yeah,
I think, we got here, took the job May 1st of 2021. So, which is a very odd time in Power 5 football, Division I football as a whole, and really any job to kind of spring ball's over. You're trying to work through it. But, as the roster was kind of reformed, you kind of go through it, but there are some confidence things that have to be addressed. I think sometimes individuals can have confidence, but as units and position groups and then holistically as a team, those are some things. And I think one of the best signs we've been able to see early is these last 2 games, not something that you want to do, but falling down 2 touchdowns early in the game on the road. There's been games even last year for us where things really snowballed away from us quickly in the second quarter, third quarters. And this team has really responded and shown the resiliency that you need to battle back.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about when you took the job in May, and you just mentioned it. Such a unique circumstance. You don't hear it very often. You got here, you missed spring ball. I think you probably had your first time with the players was the first day of fall camp, right?
Yeah, with the football.
With the football,
yeah. We had some team techs and those things like people do in the summer, but there's no formations. You really have no idea of where they're at in learning the concepts and then executing them. And probably to a little bit of a fault because of a lot of our backgrounds on this staff, and mine being at the top of that is coaching at lower levels. Yeah. Where you didn't always have spring football and you didn't have things. Well, yeah, we can work through that pretty good. Well, when it's apples and apples and nobody has it per se, then it's one thing. But when everyone else is doing the other, you could see where we fell behind. But on the flip side of it all is the month of November, we started to see, after months of practicing, we're seeing the progress. We saw guys get better and we saw them gain confidence.
When you got to Kansas, what was kind of your first impression of the state of the program? What were some of the challenges that you saw right away of, we got to overcome this?
Well, coming from the MAC, and again, I kind of said a little bit, right, facility wise and things, there were, it's better than what we had and that, but one thing in today's world is everybody's building something and having something for recruiting. And there were some things that eventually, and we're working on those. Those haven't really changed, but we continue to make progress. And, I didn't spend a lot of time going through all the changes per se of different head coaches and really some of the struggles there that, can start to really get into the culture or the attitude of a building or a department and things like that. Obviously, our basketball program and its rich tradition and the great job Bill Self and his staff have done, they've been able to, be a standard in college basketball for a long time. But if that's one end of the spectrum, unfortunately, we came to a situation where our football program was probably on the other, and probably didn't fully know that to the extent until we started to see some of the adversity or lack of success happen. And again, there's a good loyal fan base here that's been, starving for something to happen. And I think the ones that kind of fell off, are starting to, put their eyes back on this program and hopefully will help us kind of, really turn the corner here.
Did you feel any similarities between when you took over Buffalo versus when you took over here?
There were definitely some similarities, we're not far even from the Chiefs and the success of the Chiefs and our distance from the Bills and being that's one aspect. The word, I don't know if apathy would be the right, but where you kind of sit on your campus. And I've kind of heard our players even talk, really after the West Virginia win about, being able to walk around campus with a little bit more pride and those things. So you start seeing those things happen. There was probably some things culturally, that of things that touched this program that we saw some similarities to Buffalo that we worked on and are still changing, and I think they're all changing for the good. Yeah,
no, it's been great to see. And we walked in here, and you've been recruiting the whole time we've been here. So I want to ask you about just recruiting. It's something fans talk about all the time, but your strategy in recruiting, and then to a place like Kansas, what are the pros and cons?
Yeah, there's first of all, there's growing up in Wisconsin and coaching D2 ball in Nebraska and being in Buffalo, I don't think we're not hitting metropolitan hotbeds of what people in the country view as for high school football and recruiting. But anyone that knows that in those areas, there's been very good football players and programs have won. And we believe that we can recruit this state. We can find players going to help us win. I think within a drivable radius, like a lot of places. But as we know, between transfer portal, junior college, everything is going to be a little bit of a mixture to see how rosters are put together these days. I think there's been a wait and see on us a little bit. It kind of sounds good. Are you going to but we're, having a little success here early. It's easier to be on the phone, obviously, and not talk about what you're hoping to do, but you're starting to show what you're going to do. We've had great responses and being accepted by high school coaches, whether it be around this area, down Texas, or wherever we're going. And I think as we play out this season, that's going to continue to help us. And people are still going to see this as a place where they can come in and contribute early and compete. And that's really what we've talked about. We're going to give you opportunity. I think one thing in our last game even is we had 11 players catch passes.
Yeah.
So we're, the ball, you got a chance to get on the field, you get a chance to do something. But as you said, you got to keep recruiting and find a way. And this is kind of one of our bigger afternoons and early evenings that we want to, we try to do a lot of that right here in the office.
How much has just the changing landscape of college football? I mean, college football has changed more in the last 3 years than it changed in probably the last 50. How has that impacted just the strategy here?
It's a lot. I tell people this job changed immensely from the time I accepted it.
Yeah.
When you think about conference realignment and you think about the transfer portal that really started big, last June, and those have been impactful, and we've had to maybe modify the plan a little bit because of and some of that right now has helped us, and at the same time because we've been a program that's been, we take pride in the evaluation, we take pride in more so even the development of players, and that showed at Buffalo as well, and yet at the same time, you got young men who want to play early, and we've got to make sure that we keep players and keep developing them throughout their career. So those things are there, but everybody's kind of working through them. And I think it's also maybe gives a chance like a Kansas to maybe close the gap sooner than later.
Yeah. And how much has then NIL on top of that impacted things?
It has, again, and as we're all getting our feelings on where
figuring
it out, right, and where we're going with it, and see a lot of pluses. There's a lot of good things as we know. I think everybody's looking for that exact path that it's going to be that kind of puts everybody on similar footing and what's going to be sustainable. I think across the board, and people sometimes say we're gravitating toward professional sports. Well, professional sports do have things within salaries and things like that, or monies that caps and things that kind of, and drafts and other things that kind of keep it in a balanced field. I just hope that whichever way we keep moving towards that, holistically, we look at the way to keep everyone in a good competitive balance.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's such a changing world every day in college football. I want to ask about your offense. It's been fun to watch these last few weeks, even the last couple of years. And I watched your entire game against West Virginia. You guys were running triple option. I mean, or some triple option type football. It's been, what's kind of been your philosophy? And you've done a great job of, it looks like, molding your offense around the personnel.
Well, I think when you get into philosophy, you kind of followed it with really what we've always tried to be about since I've been a head coach. And Andy Kolnicki, our offensive coordinator, and we've been together 10 years now. Brian Borland and I 16 years. Wow. Yeah. And Jim Zabrowski is our quarterback coach, and Jim was my offensive coordinator my first 3 years as a head coach. Yeah. So we've got a lot of consistency there. But what it's been is be multiple enough that we can utilize our best talents at a particular time. And what I mean, so personnel groupings are going to be multiple. Okay. If we're deep at tight end, we're going to use a lot of tight ends. If we, we're still going to be a base 11 personnel team, but if right now we're able to put together we have really good depth at the running back position, and we have two really mobile quarterbacks. So we're going to utilize them in a lot of different ways. That's going to make, defenses defend the whole field, and get different people a chance to put the ball in their hands. And with that, and when it's operating in a fashion that it has here of late, it helps our play action game. It helps our deep throws, a lot of different things. And, that's, it's been fun. It's fun when you win a little bit, but kind of what you're saying is that I've enjoyed watching as many different people get on the field for us and contribute. Yeah, because I think that's important because we have so many guys that work hard. Yeah.
What was it, when you had all this success at Buffalo? Obviously, there's opportunities that come about all the time, when you succeed in the MAC like that. What was it that drew you to this job in particular?
Well, there were a lot of fashion, that there was success here, though it wasn't, at a couple different times.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Glenn Mason, everybody knows about Mark Mangino's success here and going to the Orange Bowl. Probably, some of it is a chance, to be in the Big 12 at a Power 5 conference. But I also looked at fit for our staff and probably selfishly for myself and my family.
Yeah.
We're Midwest people. I've always heard great things from people other than coming here to a game once or twice that Lawrence, Kansas is a great place to live. And that's been very true. So we've, there was a lot of things that checked the boxes. And then the biggest one was the challenge to do something that hadn't been done here in a while.
Yeah.
And that was very similar to the challenge of going to Buffalo.
Yeah. How much, before Buffalo, you're at Wisconsin Whitewater, how much did the building of that program teach you just about, what your overall philosophy became, and then doing, not that you did, not the knock on D3 football, but you did less with more there, or you did more with less, I'm sorry. And it's kind of the same thing you did at Buffalo.
Yeah. I think the time at Whitewater, because you have to wear so many hats, and there were some things that back when I even played or when I first got into coaching, I always thought if I ever became the head coach there, I wanted to do, and to try to see some of that come. And then the challenge was experiencing success and maintaining it. And also because of limited resources, find a way to get it done. There were times at Buffalo early that, some of those things were very true as well. Had two great administrators at the beginning in a short period of time, Danny White and then Alan Green, and then Mark Allnut came in after that. So the leadership there, and it was finding the niche of okay, what's my purpose there? And then, it was about partway through year 2 where we were able to make changes in facilities and do some certain things that made recruiting change slightly for us, that we were probably a bottom 3 team in facilities and probably a top 3 by the time we left. But part of that wasn't all easy. It was through vision and understanding of who we are and what we could be, but also maintaining and developing that roster at the same time. So coming here, there's some things that we're still in the early stages of that are exciting, that if we can build an on-field product, so to speak, that our fans are going to get behind. We have so many things that can help elevate this quickly if we're able to do so.
You mentioned elevating it. What do you think is kind of the peak of what this place can be, and what are the steps that have to get it to the kind of the blue chip level of college football?
Yeah, it's going to be, you go through recruiting in depth and all that, and I don't know what the peak will be, and you don't want to limit yourself, right? Yeah. But as we're making this climb, and it, last year it's a pretty steep climb, and we still have a lot to do, because as excited as we are, we played one quarter of the season and we're not even into the meat of the schedule with a ton of top 25 programs to play. So we'll see, and we don't want our highs to be too high and our lows low, but again, through the evolving world of college football, you see the ebbs and flows of maybe programs like Kansas that have a chance to win championships. But I think, as a starting point, is get us in a point where we can be, consistently in bowl games. That was kind of our approach at Buffalo, and that was the mindset. And the next thing you knew, we were paying for conference championships.
Yeah. How helpful has Coach Self been in your transition, or how much have you talked with him?
Extremely. Within the first hour of accepting the job, he called to reach out. He's addressed our team. Even in these early away games, there's a quick text message. We've had a chance to talk about things here, a lot of the spaces. So, having a chance to observe him, go to his practices, had a chance to attend a lot of games and, Sweet 16 and the Final Four, to watch them and how they went through to win a championship. All those are great resources. And I feel so fortunate to work in the same department as he is.
Yeah. Are there any challenges you feel like of being at a place that's known as a basketball school?
I think, people talk about it that way. Travis Goff, our athletic director, hired me. He's been extremely supportive. We understand. I think our department does. We have an excellent chancellor and Chancellor Gerard that understands that in today's college athletic world, the importance of having a solid and stable football program. And, it's not one that, I guess we kind of like operating in this light anyway. That's the lower level in many of us anyway, that as we've been at the Division II and Division III level, there's always been something that's overshadowed maybe where we're at or what we're doing. We want to focus on what we control and how we go about it each and every day. And the rest takes care of itself.
Wanted to ask you about your quarterback, Jalon Daniels. And I mean, he's been electric through the first 3 games. How much does he mean to this program? What have you seen from him?
Well, he's been amazing in so many different ways. And his play is the one that really, most people, the casual fan's going to take a look at. But his attitude, his energy, the smile on his face, how he approaches it, his leadership skills and how he owns things when it's not going well. I think it's pretty well documented by now that, through some injuries, and we had planned to redshirt him. And then through injuries, we were forced to kind of, put him out there. He leads us to the win against Texas. And then we're at a, decision-making time. He had played 4 games and unselfishly through conversations, but he never really wavered on what his thought process was, is that if it can help this football team for me to start the next 2 games, I want to help Kansas turn the corner and build this program. And we would not be where we are now if he hadn't played those 2 games.
Yeah.
Our mindset, our confidence, the way we really attacked winter conditioning, spring football. And as we know, especially at that position, that's a tough one. Yeah. And a lot of guys would say, no, I played my 4. I'm good, coach. And I'll be there to help you next year, maybe, but I'm good for now. And for him to do that, and how he said it, and when he sat in my office, I'll remember that for the rest of my career.
That's awesome. What do you think he has to do to kind of take the next step from he's obviously played extremely well, to being a complete elite quarterback in this conference?
Right now he's done so well, but it's going to be maintain this consistency. I think he's shown the ability to make all the throws. As we continue to be in different environments and settings, and we go through and see different looks, to continually do that. But all these little glimpses he has now started to put into games that we've seen, and now everybody else is like, wow, I didn't know he could do all that. I think he's really surprised a lot of people around the nation, but I don't know if he surprised this building. Yeah,
so he just showed up on the Heisman odds list already. So that's a good thing. Right?
Said those are ones you try to keep head down, but that's awesome. So,
what? There's been a lot of rumors or talk about possible stadium renovations, facility renovations. Where are things? With that?
Yeah, as you know, those get above me sometime. But as I said earlier, there's We are talking and discussing, and when those things will be announced and how is not for me to decide. But we're pushing sooner than later. Obviously, there's a lot of hurdles when you take on major projects. But again, like I said, between Travis Goff, Chancellor Gerard, we've been able, like I say, when we got here and look at it and then make at least a halfway tour around the league. We know we have some catching up to do, and we've got to work soon to get there.
Yeah. How much do you think this start and the success you've had so far means to just the Jayhawk community, the fan base in general? I feel that they've been itching for winning in the football program for so long. Great
question. I don't know if I'm the barometer though, but I would say is it. You go around and you do your speaking engagements, in the summertime, and and fly around the state and whatever, and speak to groups, and these people come up and tell you, they've had season tickets for 25 years and they haven't missed a game, and they drive from Western Kansas, every home weekend to come to a game, and they're just they're appreciative and all that. That's the ones that I really feel, happy for in this. If we can keep this thing going, because it's starting to, and now, you get a text or you get a voicemail or email that says, hey, so-and-so here, and my buddies and I are driving up from Texas, or we're driving over from Colorado, and all that is it. We're coming, and we're happy. That's neat, because that's one of the greatest things about college football to me in the fall is what it brings people back to. And college, as we know, is really going to be the best times of our lives. And they come back to reminisce, but also to have pride in this university. And hopefully, it's going to be a benefit to our state, but the community of Lawrence and really in the Kansas City area as well.
Yeah, it's been great to see the community kind of just rally around you guys, and there's a lot of talk about college game day possibly coming for the Duke game, but I don't know. I guess that didn't happen. Maybe soon. So
somebody asked me, I'm the last person that has any idea how that's chosen, but I said let's go. Let's
just win, right?
Yeah, let's find a way to win, and hopefully it'll happen when it's supposed to.
For sure. Last couple of things I have for you. Every successful head coach I've been around, and I'm sure you do too, have an interesting morning routine. So I'm curious what your morning routine. Are you like a 3 a.m. wake up guy?
That'd be John Gruden, right? But I'm about right now in that 4:30, 4:45 range. Try to get in here and try to you don't get an ugly looking body like this do it like by happenstance. But no, I try to do a little activity, get the blood flowing. Many of us know we're a morning practice team. So really in that 5:30 to 6:45 range, whether it be finishing up some film, getting some notes written. Sometimes I like to get some reading done. And then hopefully get on with the day. I always tell people I'm a pretty boring guy. So, not a lot of hobbies, not a lot of extra things. I'm not a superstitious person. So it's, but I do try to get into a little bit of a flow here as we get into the season.
That early, like 4 a.m. time is the only time you probably have no one bothering you, right?
Well, yeah, there's something about that time that, those of us that are in the hallway are the super kind of the earliest ones. And, I always say when I'm pulling in, I can see the reflection from Andy Kolnicki and Scott Fuchs, our offensive line coach, from their offices. I can see their TVs on already and kind of going, but you're right. There's a few times in there where that's the most peaceful and, focused times of the day.
I wanted to ask you how, I mentioned before, but anytime you have success anywhere, and it's not a blue chip program, the name of the head coach starts floating around for other jobs. Yeah. How do you keep your players from seeing that? Because it's a thing that every program has to deal with whenever they have success.
Yeah, it's, right now, don't talk about, we've got a lot of games to play. My family, my wife and I, we didn't come here to move. Yeah. Okay. This, at this stage of the career, those are things that can be flattering. It's great when Kansas football is out there. Some of them can be slightly distracting, but, there's nothing to them. So why spend time and energy on those? And, you kind of keep your head down and keep, doing your job, be where your feet are at. And, again, like I said, we didn't come here to move. So, it's, hopefully it's something that we turn into a positive for this program to move in the direction it needs to. Yeah.
Last thing I have for you, I always feel like anyone who's had the level of success that you have has a why or an outside motivation or a reason that they work as hard as they do. What's yours? What drives you to want to be the best?
I think it's a small competitive nature to be a little bit better than you were the day before. I think there's, I think there's the job and responsibility as a coach to your players and your staff and your university and community, but most importantly, my responsibility to my family and to do the best I can. I've never sat there and said this job or even to be at this level, because I played Division III football and spent most of my, the early part of my career really at the lower level. So it wasn't that, but once it's, once leaving Whitewater, and because it was able to, it was a very good program, and we were able to do some things that had really never been done before. And then it was the challenge of building, and then building to sustain. And then, when we were able to do that at Buffalo, and we really had gotten the program to be a player-led program. And my wife had said to me one time, "You're getting bored." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "Well, you're not." And it was like, and part of me hit me that it was the players were doing the things that we really wanted them. And it wasn't as challenging in that regard. And that's when this opportunity came. And she said, it might be time for a new challenge. And so the challenge of doing those, coming from where most of us have come from, to do it at the Power 5 level is probably the thing that motivates us the most right now.
That's awesome. I don't think you even lost a game at Wisconsin, right? Whitewater, right? Maybe only like 3 or something, right?
Yeah. We lost 6 games in 8 years, but I tell you what, one of those schools their local paper did a story on it. Of course, somebody sent it to me, though. I can tell you all of those and what happened and why.
Every loss.
Yeah. Some of those can stick at you more than a lot of those wins, but I think that a lot of coaches say the same.
For sure. Well, appreciate your time, Coach. It's been fun watching you throughout your career, and excited to see where this program goes.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.